I'm James Dowling. I'm a professor in the Department of Plant Biology, and I'm a tropical forest ecologist. So what I'm interested in is how diversity is maintained in tropical forests. The last 10 years I've been working in a relatively unstudied forest in the mountains of western Panama. And in the process of describing the plant species that occur in different parts of that forest, I started to look at the relationships between plants and soil, in particular traits of roots and the associations that roots have. And so one day we're out there digging up roots out of the soil, and we discovered there were these dead leaves which were sort of in the way of where we wanted to collect soil, and I started to try and brush these dead leaves out of the way, and then discovered they were actually rooted in the ground. So we're looking at these dead leaves, and we dig around the base of these dead leaves, and we find these little roots which have proliferated out of the base of a dead leaf and now are anchored into the soil. So sort of the first thing you do is sort of trace this root back to see if it's actually belonging to the plant that you think it is. And so what we noticed was we were surrounded by these tree ferns, and each of these tree ferns had 20 or 30 dead leaves which were all anchored into the ground, sort of like tentacles hanging out of the center of this fern, kind of making sort of a ring of what we called rachis roots or zombie leaves, which were dead but were still functioning, but functioning this time as roots instead of leaves. So what was really puzzling about this discovery is, the tree ferns have been around for an incredibly long time, since the Jurassic. They're an emblematic species of wet tropical forests and southern temperate forests. There are hundreds of species, thousands of collections of them in herbaria all around the world. And yet this is the first description of this trait. So what we're really curious about is this something that botanists have overlooked because they only collect the live parts of the plant and sort of ignore these dead structures? Or is this something that's a unique adaptation of in this singular fern species that grows in these incredibly nutrient-poor forests? And so it's really an adaptation to deal with chronic nutrient shortage that you wouldn't find in other kinds of forests.